I just knew that I was suffering and I needed help.
It's no secret that Leah Messer has faced more than her fair share of challenges.
Well, there's different tracks, and I was on the anxiety and depression track.
Between poverty, debt troubles, substance use issues, and trying to break the cycle of generational trauma, she hasn't exactly had it easy. But even though Leah has experienced countless struggles, she's never given up. The truth about the obstacles that she's overcome and how she started to create a better life for herself and her daughters is honestly unbelievable, so let's get into it. When we first met Leah on her 2010 episode of 16 and Pregnant, her biggest challenge seemed like it would be raising twin babies as a teen mom. But behind the scenes, she had been dealing with devastating life-changing situations for years. At the time, nobody knew just how tragic Leah's background truly was and how it had contributed to the issues in her adult life. But when she released her memoir, Hope, Grace, and Faith in 2020, the shocking details of her childhood were finally revealed. When Leah was growing up, she was constantly let down by the people who were supposed to look out for her. But because she was young, she trusted her loved ones to steer her in the right direction. Unfortunately, what happened instead was seriously alarming. In Leah's book, she explained that her family was very poor and they were constantly moving to different towns. Her mother, Dawn, was only 16 years old when she had Leah, and her father, who was 25, had major problems with substance use. One day when Leah was really young, her dad forgot to pick her up from the bus stop after school. While he was under the influence, she tried to find her way home by herself, but she ended up getting hurt and needed stitches at the hospital, which led to a massive argument between her parents. After Leah's mom and dad fought about what had happened to her, they got divorced. But because they had been arguing about Leah right before they called it quits, Leah blamed herself for their split. She was already having trouble processing everything that was going on, but what she went through next was absolutely unreal. Leah wrote that her mom had 3 jobs at one point just to support herself and her kids. While Dawn was at work, a family friend would babysit her children. But what was actually happening at the friend's house was extremely disturbing. Leah claimed that for over 6 months, the family friend's older child forced her to do very inappropriate things in secret, but she wasn't even able to confide in her mom about it. Leah revealed that throughout her childhood, Dawn's behavior was unbelievably harmful. There are several excerpts in Leah's memoir where she detailed how her mom encouraged her to participate in activities that she definitely shouldn't have. When Leah was only 13, Dawn sent her into a room at a party. She knew exactly what was about to happen, but she pushed her own daughter to do as she said anyway. Leah admitted that she was so uncomfortable when she discovered that there was an 18-year-old guy waiting in the room. She felt pressure not only from him, but from her mom as well, to go along with an inappropriate adult act that the random man had suggested. Again, Leah was only 13 years old, so she legally could not have actually consented to what happened. But that was only one of the many troubling situations that her mom put her in. And there was another way that Dawn failed Leah, and it's pretty outrageous. Dawn dropped out of school when she was 13, and she didn't prioritize the importance of education for her kids either. In fact, she allowed and encouraged Leah to stay home from school so that she could help take care of housework. At one point, Leah missed so many consecutive days of high school that she was absent for nearly a whole year. She had been bullied by other kids for her tattered shoes and clothing, so she didn't want to go to school anyway. But what that meant for her home life was honestly heartbreaking. Leah shared in her memoir that she didn't realize at the time how manipulative her mom was to her and her siblings. The only time they were shown genuine love and given positive attention was when they were around their grandma, Dawn's mother. But sadly, it wasn't long before their world was turned upside down. Leah said that her grandmother was often ripped out of her life without warning whenever Dawn wasn't getting along with her. She wanted so badly to be loved and accepted for who she was, but she had never seen what a healthy relationship looked like, so she was totally clueless when it came to her own love life. In Leah's family, the women had been expected to raise babies and work whenever they could, but nobody in her family had ever been able to climb out of poverty. So when Leah started getting paid thousands of dollars for being on Teen Mom 2, it was a completely new experience for her. Leah had no idea how taxes worked, and she allegedly didn't realize that nothing had been withheld from her MTV paychecks. So when it was tax season and she had to pay in, she didn't have enough money to cover the full amount that she owed. Soon her finances spiraled out of control for a couple of insane reasons. Leah has previously mentioned that she gave a lot of money to her family members just to keep them happy. She was way too generous with how much she helped them out financially, considering she ended up paying for several of their vehicles. Many of Leah's family members have never respected her boundaries before, so she was afraid to tell them no, and because she felt so unloved when she was growing up, she wanted to help them and be in their good graces. But after Leah's daughter Adeline was born, everything came crashing down for her. When Leah was was in the hospital about to welcome Adeline to the world, the procedure to administer numbing medication went very wrong. She had intense back pain and extreme headaches afterward, so her doctor prescribed her incredibly heavy pain medications. Before long, Leah developed a dependence on the meds, which quickly turned into a dangerous habit. When she started using substances, she was risking her own life along with her daughter's well-being. Not only that, but her money troubles went from bad to worse. Even though Dawn was aware of Leah's substance use issues, she didn't want her to get professional help. She believed that her daughter would permanently lose custody of her kids if Corey found out the truth, and Leah's dad wasn't any help to her either. Leah revealed in her book that her father was actually one of the biggest enablers. When MTV producers finally arranged for her to get help, she knew she had to cut off contact with her dad for a while. Thankfully, she was able to successfully get sober, but that was only the first step in turning her life around. Once Leah was in a healthier place, she started tackling her overwhelming tax debt. At that point, it seemed nearly impossible, but she was determined to be a positive role model for her girls by breaking the cycles her family had been trapped in for so long. A few years ago, Leah started the process to become a real estate agent. She realized that the money from MTV wouldn't last forever, and she had a mountain of debt to pay off. Several of Leah's fellow Teen Mom castmates had been trying to make money as social media influencers or by selling adult content online. However, instead of pursuing those options, Leah decided to take a more challenging but also more noble route. Leah published her book while she was studying to take her real estate exam, and she ultimately passed that state portion. But even the proceeds from her book couldn't cover her unpaid taxes. Earlier this year, she was hit with yet another whopping tax lien. After the most recent lien was added to Leah's debt, the total amount of money she owed to the IRS was around $780,000. But she's continuing to do the admirable thing by working hard. She's even proven that she isn't above getting a normal job. A couple of months ago, Leah posted on her Instagram story that she was getting ready to start her shift as a server. A lot of her followers were stunned just because it's pretty uncommon for the girls from Teen Mom to have an average job. But that wasn't the only good news that Leah had up her sleeve. Believe it or not, Leah passed her federal real estate exam in September, and she is now officially a licensed agent. It's clear that her main focus is to build a better life and future for herself and her girls, and it doesn't look like she's going to stop working hard anytime soon. Leah isn't perfect, but she's doing her best to grow as a person and heal from her troubled childhood. She even enrolled her daughters in therapy a couple of years ago so they would learn healthier coping skills than she did when she was younger. It's undeniable that Leah has come a long way from where she started. Despite the fact that her struggles aren't over yet, all of her perseverance and determination will someday pay off in an amazing way. Leah has managed to get her life back on track, and she's also been able to teach her daughter so many valuable lessons. Even though she still has room to grow and learn, she's created a much brighter future for herself and her girls. Throughout Leah's life, she's experienced so much trauma, heartache, and turmoil. But now that we've talked about the inspirational ways she's been able to overcome those hurdles, I want to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on Leah deciding to pursue a career outside of Teen Mom as well as working at a normal job? What do you think about all the steps she made to solve her problems despite how troubling her upbringing was? Let me know in the comments below.